Okay, we're ready.
It is now 6 o'clock, so I'd like to call to order the July meeting of the Greater New Haven WPCA Board of Directors. I think we do the roll call.
Joyce Sultan,
Here.
Robert DiCola.
Here.
Robert Falsigno,
Here.
Robert Pompano,
Here.
Stephen Mangiulo,
Here.
Russell Sear,
Here.
Jeffrey Ginsburg,
Here.
Clayton Williams,
Here.
Michael Finiani.
Here.
Great, thank you. Item 1 is approval of the minutes of our June meeting. Motion.
I move it. Oh, sure.
Thanks, Bob. Second. Are there any corrections, additions? Everyone, second. Comments on call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstained? Passes. Item 2 is public participation related to the agenda items. We have no one from the public here. Ernie, there's no one online, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So we can move on to item 3, which is the cancellation of the August 11th regular meeting.
Resolved that in accordance with section 2.16I of the bylaws, by the affirmative vote of 2/3 of the Board of Directors of the Authority, cancellation of the August 11th, 2021 regular meeting of the board is hereby approved.
I move it. Thanks. Second.
Second.
This is something we traditionally do in August if we don't have items that we absolutely need to address. So just ask Sid and Dave, confirm we can do this easily and move anything that we need to do in September. Yes. Okay. Yes. In light of that, I'll call for a vote on this. All those in favor of canceling the August meeting?
Aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Item 4.
Item 4, resolved that the blanket purchase order under the master service agreement with EPM Inc. for pass-through expenses for IT and related services provided by EPM Inc. for an aggregate amount not to exceed $181,530 as further described in the exhibit to agenda item number 4 is hereby approved, and that the executive director, Sidney J. Holbrook, being hereby authorized, empowered, and directed for and on behalf of the authority to negotiate and deliver such blanket purchase order and any and all reasonable necessary documents in furtherance thereof.
Right. Thanks, Sal.
I'll second.
Bob second. Okay, Gabe?
Yeah, all right, so, I mean, we've done this pretty regularly every year because EBM ends up with a lot of checks because there's a lot of pass-throughs according, you can see the spreadsheet that's attached. So because by the end of the fiscal year, we'll have paid them roughly $180,000. The purchasing policy is $50,000. Even though this is a bunch of checks and a lot of it is pass-throughs that actually ultimately go to other vendors, we'd like to bring it to the board for approval. And that way we can show the auditors that there was an approval process based on the fact that EBM receives a bigger lump of money than the purchasing policy allows without approval, even though it's not all their money. We've been doing it quite a while.
This is not to exceed amount. What is it possible you could go past that?
If we do, we'll bring it back to the.
Bring it back to the board.
Are there any changes on this from like previous years?
It's very much, pretty close to the same, Clay. There's probably a few bucks more here, a little less there. All in all, I don't believe that many of the vendors have changed, if any, and the dollar amounts are very typical to previous years.
And you guys are satisfied with the service?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we doing security with this?
We actually have some new items that will be coming up that we're going to be doing some security reviews as it relates to the IT.
Yeah, I mean, the challenges just keep coming.
Yeah, I mean, we try to be as in front of it as we can, and it's a moving target, but I think that they do a good job, and the people they have, they brought on some new staff that are more apt in the security side, so pretty confident that we can be as safe as possible.
It's basically standard procedures and processes that we do this year. Are there any other comments, board members? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Item 5.
Item 5, resolved that the agreement with National Water Main Company for cleaning services and closed circuit television inspection, including traffic protection for certain large diameter sewer receptors and small diameter sanitary sewers prioritized by the GNHWPCA program, an amount not to exceed $1,198,313, as further described in the exhibit to agenda item number 5, is hereby approved, and the executive director, Cindy J. Holbrook, being hereby is authorized and empowered for on behalf of the authority to negotiate, execute, and deliver such agreement, and any and all reasonable necessary documents and furtherance thereof.
Second.
Sal?
Yeah, this is actually, we put this out to bid. This is a big lining contract. You can see the two bids on the cleaning and TV, and you can see it on the other page. There's several locations all over the place, and we're very happy with National Water winning the award. They've done a lot of work for us. You guys have approved a lot of contracts with them. The difference is $1.5 million between them and the other vendor. So this will run throughout the fiscal year. The nice thing is this actually includes the police traffic protection, which is sometimes that's separate. In this case, it's a pass-through, but it's included in the contract. So very happy with the bids and very happy with the service provided by the vendor.
Do we know why there's such a big difference in the unit prices, which results in such a big difference in the two bids?
You know, Clay, National Water has done so much work for us in the system. I think they just know the system better. The other thing is that a lot of these vendors, they come in and they throw in these astronomical prices that there's so much work out there that they're like, okay, if we get it for this, we'll do it. Pretty much the same as electricians and plumbers, what's going on now, you know? They're throwing in these bids, and if they get them, they're like, yeah, because it's really twice as much as they should have got.
Really?
So
Gabe, where are they out of?
who, National Water?
Yeah.
Connecticut, I don't know, where are they, Tommy? National Water, but the other company is Massachusetts, I think.
Which one's he asking?
Either one.
National Water.
Yeah, they're all through the country too. They're everywhere,
Oh.
but they have a large presence in Connecticut.
Oh, good. Good.
Effectively, they operate out of Connecticut for our purposes.
Good.
Have you heard of this Equix Integrity?
Yeah, they do work for us also.
They've worked for us in the past.
Okay.
Obviously, their numbers were not these numbers. We don't like to let any vendor think that they're gonna get all the work. We keep them competitive, making sure that they have to bid against each other. This one seemed to be a little more out of the way than a lot of them. Sometimes they're very close, sometimes they're outlandishly different. I mean, you've seen us calculate them when we think it's gonna be a $3 million project and it's a 4.5, or it's a $2 million. The prices are all over. The nice thing with this is it's pretty much a service, so there's not a lot of materials involved in it.
Hey, thanks.
Tom, I have a question. The main purpose, is it really to inspect, or is it to clean, or how do we?
All of it.
Clean and TV and this, within the CMOM, they're identifying issues at the pipe at the same time.
Do we anticipate problems in some of these? Is that why we're inspecting them, or?
No, some of these pipes have never been.
Years old.
Yeah.
And some are 100 years old.
Yeah, it's a combination of both, and if we encounter something.
Correct.
We have-
Then it goes into the list, the lining list that we maintain to determine priorities of lining and replacement of infrastructure.
I mean, the system as a whole, Stephen, you know this, is so big that it's like painting the George Washington Bridge, right? By the time you finish it.
Yeah.
Start the other side,
And that's really how the system works. It's ironic because some of the older sewers are not in the worst shape.
Yeah,
And, you know, because of the years and years throughout, I mean, it's materials that were lasted better than some of those old brick sewers are in great shape, some of them decayed. But all these segments become part of our process. So every one of these segments is reviewed and then put into a placement in the system in regards to if there's any issues in the segment of pipe. This actually, by doing this and using National Water to do a lot of this, we've actually saved a lot more money and accomplished a lot more cleaning than ever before. And that includes all the years that OMI was here. Because we didn't have the technology, that the cameras were not what they are today. So it actually is very beneficial to get a lot more.
Self-coding too.
so this is preventative in a way too. So
Well,
you
it's
find a
both.
problem when it's small before it.
Yeah.
Take care of it.
All the pipes are coded and graded in accordance to NASDAQ requirements. So you end up with a grading system out of all the pipes that you evaluate. So that you can determine whether they actually have to repair immediately or if this is something we have to do for so many years.
And all that information resides in GIS. And then all this footage of camera can actually be re-looked at. We store it, we can see it.
I know the water company has, over the years, different materials that were used for pipes. So some, they did better than others. We have that same
Oh, yeah.
situation. And so you anticipate that certain lines to do those first or whatever.
Yeah, within the lining, that's a different program. The lining program, we have a lot of pipes identified. When we have unreinforced concrete pipe from 1900, that's like the number one we go and fix.
Failure.
If we ever find out that we have some of those, sometimes they're mislabeled and they're shown as like clay tile, then we come out and find out they're unreinforced concrete pipe. That immediately goes to the top of the list because those are prone to failure. The brick sewers sometimes are the oldest, but sometimes they're in the best shape too. So it's not a matter of just the date.
And that's for the CMON program. That's all good.
Yes.
Yes, correct.
I mean, some of the brick sewers were 3 courses, 4 courses, and then you remember we had that failure on Chapel Street. It was 1 course. Like,
Wow.
which probably wasn't supposed to be 1 course, but
And this is for a fixed price, right? There was no contingency?
it's based on those segments, based on that linear foot price. If there's anything added, Clay, they will, like sometimes there'll be something that's related to a confined space, or if there's a repair that has to be done, then that'll play a role in regards to some other fixed, already approved pricing.
Got it.
Can I ask a question? Is this work that's gonna be done preemptive?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, Jeff?
The work that is to be done, is this preemptive rather than reactive?
It is preemptive, but it also is required as part of our consent order with the state to manage and inspect the system. So we look at it as it is preemptive, but a lot of it falls into place, which will become reactive because we'll find issues when it comes to this. Tommy's also put together a huge lining project. So we're lining pipes that were previously cleaned in TV. So some of these segments, when they identify problems, will become the next level of whether it's cut them open and replace them or line them later. So it's a continuous process of inspection, and then some of them won't have to have anything done. Some of them move into lining. Some of them could be that there's a repair spot, a spot that can't be lined, that's actually got to be dug up and cut open.
But if none of this is broken now, why fix it?
Because it could be a catastrophic failure. A lot of these systems, if we find something that, if it's just got a couple of cracks, then it can go on a list that said they grade them, as Tommy had said, and it might not need to be relooked at for a couple of years. If it looks like there's something that there could be a major failure on a significant size pipe, then we need to address it. Without knowing, you need to, just because that's the problem with underground infrastructure. You really don't know what's the matter with it until you have a catastrophic failure. So this is trying to preempt the catastrophic failure.
Are we being called to do this as part of the,
Consent order, yes. This is part of our agreement with the EPA and the DEP in regards to managing the collection system. This is one of the requirements of operating and maintaining the collection system.
I think this is something we do anyhow. We just,
No, we do
the right way to
Regular
do
PM
it.
case, isn't it? Regular PM.
I mean, it's just not typical cleaning. I mean, sometimes they'll go out and clean lines. This is really a heavy duty cleaning and then a TVing and inspecting. Like Tommy had said, they grade every pipe. So all this is miles and miles of pipe that'll be graded, put into our GIS system so that we have this as an inventory and access to all these segments of pipe. I mean, they use this every single day. When something happens and they get a call, they'll go to the GIS system, they'll pull out a pipe, they'll pull out a map, they'll pull out the video. With the GIS system, our GIS system is probably, it's hands down the best in the state of Connecticut. It's one of the best in the country. I mean, Ricardo and has won awards doing some of this stuff. We spend millions of dollars on this GIS.
I have a question. Is this project expected to span multiple years, or is it all going to be done this year, within a year?
It's a 1-year contract, Russ, with 2 holding the price, 1-year extensions. So we'll probably, it could take longer, but we'll make sure that we get through the whole list.
It looks like a lot of work to be done in 1 year. It looks like it could go.
You know, you gotta see these guys put it together. It's amazing because this is all they do. They have a really good crew. They pair their guys really well. They seem to be best guys doing this. They have the equipment. This is all they do. And they do it very well. If we had to do this, it would take multiple years because it's just not what we do on a typical day.
20 miles of 8 to 12 inch pipe. It's a lot of pipe.
It's a lot of pipe.
I would think this helps us to evaluate our future capital needs.
Absolutely.
Any other comments from board members? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Item 6 and 7 are kind of tied together. Start with 6.
Item 6 resolved that in accordance with section 216I of the bylaws, by the affirmative vote of 2/3 of the board of directors of the authority, cancellation of the September 15th, 2021 and December 15th, 2020 regular meetings of the board is hereby approved.
I move the item.
Thanks.
Second.
Bob seconded.
Yeah, okay, so this resolves the issue of the incorrectly listed dates for our September and December meetings. We're hoping we could deal with this a little bit easier, but our attorney, our counsel has advised us otherwise. So this is the way we resolve it, by canceling these to a vote of the board and then rescheduling them with special meetings to a vote of the board, and it shall be posted just like any other special meeting with all the municipalities and with in public notice. So we'll start with 6. Yes, like 6.
Okay, so 6 is the cancellation. Are there any questions from the board?
I look at it, and you pay attention. It just, you always go to the second, but when the first falls on a Wednesday, it just, so we all miss it. It's a reality. Except for
Right.
Brett. At least we got one, right?
All those in favor of canceling?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So item 7.
Item 7, resolved that in accordance with section 2.10 of the bylaws, the board of directors of the authority shall hold a special meeting at 6 p.m. on each of September 8th, 2021 and December 8th, 2021 at 260 East Street, New Hampshire, Connecticut.
I move the item.
Second.
So you just gave the explanation. If there's any comments. Call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so.
Well, first, for those of you that don't know, the reason that Gary Zarillik's not here with us tonight is his father passed away in the last 24 hours. Of course, he's not here with us. We're all saddened by that, and I'm sure you are. It was something that wasn't unexpected, but anytime a loss occurs, it's certainly painful. So our prayers and thoughts go out to Gary and his family. I think I brought this up last month, but if I didn't, the legislation that was introduced by Senator Manny is gone. I think there was a concern that come up in the special session that was held, but because anyone could put in anything they want if you're in leadership in the call of a special session, but it didn't. So there's nothing that we have to be concerned about related to the legislation for at least until next February, excuse me. It's a short session.
You think it might come back?
In February,
You don't know why it went away?
it went away because they didn't have time to consider it in the House. It did pass in the Senate, but the House jammed up with other issues. They couldn't even get the budget out during the regular session. And I don't think there was a desire to open up the session to a lot of issues when they had a marijuana issue they had to do in a special session, and they had to do a budget. I believe the budget was passed in total at that point. Or the implementer was, excuse me, it was the implementer. The implementer is really what the budget is all about. It tells you how you're going to implement the expenditures and how you're going to collect the revenues. Steve put together a letter. You want to talk about that, Steve?
Yeah,
And you all should have.
I hope to address, I wasn't here for the last meeting. I hope to send it out a little earlier, but I thought it was important to acknowledge the effort that was put in this year in terms of COVID. We had a lot of questions when we first started, and there were a lot of unknowns. And, we managed to get through this very successfully. I know it was because of a lot of input from the staff. Everybody had to extend themselves one way or another to do it. So I just thought it was important to recognize it. I thought this letter I signed it, but it comes from the whole board, and I wanted to run it by the board first before we send it out. If anyone has any comments on it, I can hear it. But I think we should acknowledge the work and effort of the staff in the past year.
Would put my name on it.
I would, because it's important to thank
Yes.
Yeah, well,
we're fearful they're losing their life. That's just the thing to work, you know,
You're right.
you're surrounded. And I'd be glad to.
During the thing. I think Steve makes a very good, very valid point that, remember at the beginning of this, I remember Jeff, and asked questions, how are we going to cover certain issues we have if certain people don't show up. We're going to be able to conduct businesses in a relatively normal fashion, and we got through it. At least to this point, I would guess like everybody else is, that it's basically over at this point. So it's nice, and I'm sure that all the employees here are going to be happy when they see some kind of a letter or something written by the board and by the chairman.
Yeah, I mean, some of our plant operators are very specialized people. Fortunately, we didn't have an issue with it. They have to reschedule their work so that that all continued. We're a critical service. So I think they did a great job.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and send this out, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
And following up on that, we are planning on opening our doors on September 1st. And of course, we're going to bring the whole board back September 1st for the September meeting. And we're going to still establish meetings or appointments by phone. You have to set up an appointment before you can come in to see our people in our division of finance and our customer service. People that come here to pay their bills or have questions will be able to access the lobbyway, and we have the ability to make a phone call from there, as you probably all know when you come in, to speak with somebody in customer service, and it'll be up to them whether or not the individual will gain full access to the building. So does anybody have any questions about that or concerns or comments?
No.
We have another letter here that I'm going to read it to you because I was very impressed. And this letter was sent to Gabe, right? Because he was the point person on this. But it was an email sent to him a couple of days ago, actually yesterday. It says, Gabe, I am writing to once again express my deepest gratitude to you and your staff for your commitment to our testing efforts during the past year. Because of your generosity, we completed over 21,000 COVID tests at your facility. This is 21,000 tests that we may not have been able to do for our community were it not for your support. While I certainly hope that we are looking at COVID through the rearview mirror, I do hope that our paths will continue to cross as we work together for the good of our neighbors. With heartfelt gratitude, Sue. Sue Lagarde, I think it's Sue pronounced Lagarde.
Yeah.
Sue Lagarde, Chief Executive Officer, Fairhaven Community Healthcare, Grand Avenue, New Haven, Connecticut. Well, that's a very nice compliment to us. And I want to thank Gabe for taking the lead point on that, and the board for supporting that. And it was I think it was a tremendous community outreach project for this board, for the GNHWPCA.
And I'll say, and Sid and I have talked about this, and it's nice that the lady sent me the email, but this is really the staff down at the plant, those guys, Gary, Joe, everybody here. It was all hands on deck. And you know, I get the credit because I'm the one that says point and shoot, but really the effort is a big effort by a lot of people, and it worked really well. I never realized, some mornings we'd see lines out there. I never realized it was 21,000 tests, but I knew it was quite a few. And she vaccinated all our people too. So they've been wonderful, and we actually are going to keep them on our coat drive list, and we're going to provide them with some winter gear during the winter season as well.
Because she did give some of our coats away.
Yeah.
That was nice. Okay, so does anybody have any comments on that, or
I'm glad we had the opportunity.
Well, I'd like to say that letters of appreciation are terrific because they keep morale up. I think people do great jobs, but when you appreciate what someone has done, it boosts their productivity and their attitude towards the job so much more. And I think it's terrific that both of those letters were terrific.
well said, Joyce.
And you know what, Joyce, you're absolutely right. And Steve's letter is very nice, and I think that they'll approve. I mean, the guys at the plant, these guys did an incredible job. I mean, we changed their shifts, we changed their days off, we changed everything in their life, and they just kept plowing forward.
With no complaints.
Yep.
And they didn't get sick.
No, none of the operators and other people at the plant got sick.
Yeah.
So Gabe says, thank that. So that's all I have this evening, and I would just say wish you a very good July, and I look forward to seeing you all in September around this table, and we plan on things going back to maybe normal.
Back to abnormal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yep, thank you, Sid. Item 9 is consideration of any new business. There's no new business for this meeting. Item 10 is a call to the public. There's no one to respond to that. So I will entertain a motion to.
Before you adjourn, there is one thing I forgot to mention, and if I mentioned it at the last meeting, again, the gentleman that is being awarded the GNHWPCA award will be at our September meeting to be given the award in person.
Awesome.
Doug, motion to adjourn.
I'll move.
Second, Bob. All those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Aye, guys. Thank you.